Yeah,
So for those who don't
brilliant,
know anything
brilliant,
about my guests, um,
brilliant.
her,
Yeah, it's a lot better now.
so now make
Yeah,
sense.
great.
Okay, so tell me I pronounce your name well.
How did you pronounce it, first of
Adedunmade
all?
Onibokun.
Yeah, I think you did an amazing job of that.
I said I was going to try my best, but yeah, I did. So it's
Yeah,
the
you did.
managing partner at Adedunmade Onibokun Co. Commercial lawyers and litigators. Do you know that? How many years have you been practicing in Nigeria?
Why is this phone everywhere? Okay, yeah. So I've been practicing for about,
No,
let's say, eight
turn
years.
it, turn it, turn it, turn it,
Oh, you
turn it.
rather I turned it this way?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, so
great.
it's better in view. Yes,
Okay.
I'm doing like this to see you.
No, I think it's better this way then. Yes,
Yeah.
great. So I've
So
been
you've been
practicing,
practicing for 8 years.
yeah, about 8 years now. Yes.
You know,
That's
I've never been to court since I was called to bar.
really.
I was feeling bad about it. And I was talking to a far more senior colleague of mine that
Okay.
was yabbing me that nobody taught me. Like his lecturers were like Professor Shibaju and the likes,
Oh, really?
and all the textbooks that we read when we were in
Mm,
school.
mm.
So he was telling me that he never practiced. I'm like, oh, thank God.
But you're
I
not
have
the
someone I
only
can say
one.
that. I can be yes, I'll say I'm not the only one. I have my friends that are going to court, but well, we can chill a bit before we start doing all the court stuff.
Well, I guess so.
Yeah. So before I even start, what brought about LegalNaija? Because I know that there were a lot of like okay, so part of the things that I kind of wanted to do when I was like doing my attachments was I wanted to be in a firm where they had all this everything like a law pavilion, and
Okay.
there was this one what's her name? It's not Fomera, but the other person in Abuja.
Not Legopedia either.
Not Legopedia.
Not Fumi Quadri.
Yes, Mrs. Fumi
Mrs.
Quadri.
Fumi Quadri.
So
Yeah.
she was I was posted to a chamber in
Idibadan.
Ibadan,
Oh, that's
but
great.
it was I got there and I was like, okay. So she was like, the person in charge was on mat leave, so I couldn't stay there. So she took me to another person.
Okay.
But now my boss is like a magistrate in the magistrate court in
Oh,
Ibadan.
that's
So it's
great. That's
amazing
great.
going with me. So yeah, so how did LegalNaija come about?
Okay. Legal Nigeria came up about 6 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
So immediately after law school and I came into practice, my friend and I were quite passionate about social development, about law, about the community, and everything. So we started this Facebook group called Nigerian Youth Development Initiative. It was basically an
Okay.
advocacy platform for the two of us. And what we tried
Okay.
to do through that platform was to engage the community, engage government officials, just engage people and keep up conversations. But at the end of the day,
Okay.
I realized that we were just one. Most of our work was government bashing. That was
Oh,
really what we were doing then, and we both realized at the end of the day that we were not really connecting. We were not really providing solutions. We were just part of the people that were just repeating the problems and reiterating them all the
okay.
time. So I wanted to do something different, and I realized that at
Okay.
that point because I had started blogging, and I was a lawyer, so I just kind of like married the two of them together. And what I sought
Okay.
to do was to just educate people on the law because I realized that my friend and I were lawyers and we were the only ones talking because we knew the law, we knew our rights. But I realized as well that if people did not know the law, then they will not be able to join us, in also raising their voice for communal and social and societal issues. So I set out to
Yeah.
educate people on the law, knowing that, okay, when people are educated on the law, then at least they will be able to join us, and raise their voice in support of community development and national growth and development as a whole. So that's what spurred me
Okay.
on to start the blog. And hey, it's been 6 years now, I guess.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. You already have people that just intentionally want to educate people we have more people that are driven about. And okay, so would I say, was that just your drive? Because a lot of people will say, oh, as a lawyer, money has to be your major drive because apart from the passion for law, you have to pay your bills, and
Mm.
it's not like the like I'm talking to a friend yesterday, and she's like, they don't treat young lawyers
Really
really
well. I
well.
know about that.
Yeah, so was it a drive of okay, we just want to like educate people, or a drive of okay, well, if I'm doing this, then I'll be able to like get more clients? Like, did you have your own like
Well,
motive?
sincerely, when I started, I didn't have the clients or the popularity that it would bring to my practice in view. Neither did I have the finance
Okay.
because I blogged before I even made a penny from blogging. I blogged every day for about 3, 4 years, before people even started to really notice the blog and say that they wanted to sign up on it or they wanted to put ads on it. It took that long. And if it was about the money, I don't think I'd have lasted that long as a blogger. It was
Mm.
it was just my passion. Funny enough, even till now, blogging is about the best part of my day, really. So it's not about the money. It's just about how I feel. And when I blog and I get one person just send me a mail or a tweet saying, "Oh, thank you for what you just posted. I learned a lot from it, or it was quite helpful to me." I derive satisfaction from that, and that just spurs me on continuously, really.
Amazing, amazing. So, okay, so basically what exclusive chat is all about is we bring people that do all the background work in like music, media, and
Oh,
arts
that's great.
field. And what we kind of do is to educate people on process, we educate people on how to make their, so we've had producers who have told us stuff about mastering, about production, about songwriting.
Yeah.
Um, we've had choir directors, we've had a DJ that also shared his view about, oh, this is
Oh,
how we
great.
started up, all that. So basically, it's not just a one stream thing. What okay when this particular thing okay because I sing, so what how it came to my heart was okay, so let's have a place where people can that sing, that are in the heart field, that are in the media field, can come and say, oh, okay, we are the ones, like we all see the faces of all the
All
like
the
artists that
artists
do
and
this.
everybody, yeah.
Yeah, but we don't see people that do all the background work that make them come together and become that like the whole thinness. So that was what drew me to start doing the exclusive chat
Oh,
thing.
that's really
So when I
wonderful.
wanted to go towards that, like thank you. When I wanted to go towards the light, I said, okay, you know what? I'm a lawyer, but I can't see everything because it'll
Because
be
as
like
a lawyer, you
I'm
cannot
putting what
even
I have
know
to do.
everything, really.
You can't see like a quarter of
Yeah.
everything. So I was like, okay, you know what? And one thing I would appreciate, that I would say that I really love and appreciate is that I think from the get-go when I became very active on Instagram, I saw this like LegalNaija liked your picture. I'm like, okay, who is this LegalNaija? Who is this person? So I went to your like it's an amazing blog. Why do people know this thing? So that was when I started following, and it has been amazing. It's been
Oh,
really
thank you so
amazing.
much. Really appreciate
So I'll
that.
start from this. In your in your bid for social justice and social enlightenment for people,
Okay.
what would you say is the number one problem of the okay, so let me say the Western world. Let's take it back to Nigeria first.
Okay.
The Nigerian community when it comes to um legal education. Do you think that people really, really, really even know things that are going on? Because this is what happened. So you get let me use a typical example, a land sale,
Yeah.
right? You get someone that wants to buy land, they just want to go and meet the person, get a very good discount from this person. The
Yeah.
person sells the land to them, come back 3 years, they start building their house. A court order says, oh, stop work because there's an injunction against this
Yeah.
land, whatever, and that this land belongs to Park, this.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was Uncle this that sold the land to me. So you start educating them about land search and everything and this one and that one and let them know all these things. But that's in when it comes to like land and purchase, and they feel like, oh, land
Mm,
is something that's general. We always get a real estate agent to look
mm.
for this for us. Why do you feel that people underestimate the work of a lawyer in the entertainment general world? I feel like people now get into the mess and they're like, oh, I need a lawyer. And I'm like, you just saved yourself that
That,
also.
yeah, from the
So why do you
beginning.
think underestimate that the lawyers work generally?
Well, I think the first thing is finance.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember when I got a mail from a creative, you know, and the person
Okay.
was like, "Oh, I want to prepare this agreement and I want to talk to someone. Okay, how much is going to be your fee?" And I told the person my fee, and the person was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll just go to Google." So I realized that people really don't, not that they don't appreciate the work the lawyer will do, but they're not ready to pay for it. I realized that people,
Mm.
some creatives, are willing to spend more on things that may not really matter in the long run. For instance, they will willingly spend more on a phone, right, than they'll be willing to spend for legal services. They'll
Mm.
willingly spend more on makeup, perhaps, or something more material than they will actually be
Okay.
willing to spend on legal services. So that's one thing that I feel is really the
Okay.
major problem. Some of them don't really understand the importance of a lawyer, and they believe that we can wing it. Nigerians, we're very smart people, we're very resourceful people. So we always believe, what,
Yeah.
I can always wing this now. Why do I have to pay so much, for something I can do? And that's where the problem is. They keep that, like there's this saying, Nigerians are smart but not intelligent. So
Mm.
yeah, so they feel smart, like, oh, come on, I can wing this. That's being smart. But the intelligent part is knowing that, okay, I might be able to wing this, but what is the downside in the long run? That's what they're not able to properly figure out at
So,
the end
so
of the
like
day.
you don't look at the bigger picture of what
Exactly,
we're always running in to do.
exactly,
You just
kind
run
of.
into.
Yes, kind of, kind of.
Okay. So when it comes to like a creative coming into the entertainment, or let's say the media world, and is getting like job offers by this person, that person. Okay, I gave an example before you came online. So a particular company reached out and said, oh, okay, we want to give you this proposal.
Okay.
And one thing I know is when it comes to proposals, they'll always hide their terms and
Yeah,
conditions. They want to make everything look very pretty, how they're going to do this, how
yeah,
they're going to do that. But the terms, the clauses that are behind
yeah,
the major proposal,
yeah.
they will never tell you. So I told the guy, I said, please, I'm going to put your terms and conditions in this thing. I want to know what exactly I'm putting my neck into. And when I saw the terms and conditions, it was like, me, the creative, I have to pay you to offer my own
Hmm,
services.
hmm.
So for me, I would have jumped on it if I saw the proposal very nice, very
Yeah.
sweet, and I said, "Oh, no problem. I can. I'm good to go. I'm good to go." But I'm
Hmm,
like, no, you can't tell me that I'm selling you a product. I'm giving you a product on your
hmm.
platform. I'm bringing all my own platform on your platform,
Yeah.
but I have
To
to
pay
pay
you.
you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. So it was like that, but it took me time to see all that in things. So would you say that the average person might be able to like see those things, but the main issue might not even be the legal aspect of
Sorry?
so someone is saying and you still pay, thank you, and they'll still expect me to pay on top of my own brain. And I'm still going to go into all about intellectual property,
Okay.
but so one thing I wanted to ask is, so when it comes to things that like in the surface level, do you think that people just discard a lot of things? It's like when you're reading, people tend not to read in between the lines. They just read based on the surface level,
Hmm.
but it takes like we do like the extra work trying to see line by line what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, what does this mean? Let me check this. So do you think that people can actually still go about stuff, but they just get too excited? It's like, oh, moving records calls you. Ah, my friend, moving
Yeah, I
calls
just
me.
spoke to Don Jazzy or something
When
like
you think
that.
of a lawyer, you're signed.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Before you think of a lawyer, you're signed. And you don't know
Hmm.
that probably in between that you've seen where they're talking about also all the songs you write,
Who owns the
tourniquets,
catalog?
all the
Who
this.
owns everything? How many albums do you have to submit before during the period of the contract? People don't really pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to that. They just carry it away, really.
So, do you think that it is still a smart issue versus an intelligent issue, or you think that people just get carried away by the sugar coatiness of what the person's trying to offer them?
Well, in this particular scenario, I think
Mm,
it's more of being carried away because, truthfully, for a creative, especially someone in the entertainment industry, it has taken a lot to build the craft. It is taking years of passion and experience going to the studios, paying for airtime, sorry, paying for studio time, and all that. It's taken a long time, and it's a very slow process before it now
mm.
blows up and you start to see the fruits of it. So sometimes they get carried away, like it's what some will say, I've been hustling for so long, and some guy just comes with a house in
I've got a
Lekki,
break.
with the house in Lekki, the Range Rover, and they take you on a club tour and everybody's screaming your name, so many girls in your face, or guys, as the case may be, and it's easy for such creatives to get carried away with all that because they just want to enjoy that moment. Like, come on, I've been hustling all this
Mm,
time. I've been trying to prepare my craft all
mhm.
this time. Now that I'm like seemingly getting a little
I've
fruit
seen
from it, I just really want to enjoy it. So
that.
they don't really want to pay attention to the little details. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like this joke that we say that who reads the terms and conditions really. You want to sign up for an email and they tell you terms and conditions.
I do.
You just scroll to the bottom, I click, I consent, or
I
yeah,
agree.
or I've read it, and you just let go. So yeah, that's how it is. Nobody really pays attention to that, but you can't really blame them, just like I said, because of where they're coming from. However, it takes
Mm,
a more discerning mind to be able to say,
mm,
what, I think I need to pay attention to the little issues here. I need to check out the I's and check out the T's and see if they're properly dotted and crossed, so that I don't really just lose out. Now, this has not been the issue for many Nigerian artists.
mm.
That's why year in, year out, we always hear of issues. One person fighting
Oh,
with the
okay.
label, one person has been kicked out by the label is suing one person, someone's name is now an issue. Because I believe that at the beginning, there are some things that the artist should pay attention to. For instance, who owns
Mm,
the trademark to your name? That's we had the issue
mm.
of the Kiss Daniel and the Kiss Daniel because he had to change his name at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it was the label that actually created that name for him, or if it's
Mm,
something he had been working on even before he got to the label. In the agreement, he should have been able to see that, okay, this name, does it belong to you or does it belong to me? But like I
mm-hmm.
said, things just look too beautiful, and these labels sometimes really know how to play the game. They know how to woo the artist. They know how
I'll
to,
actually go. Okay.
yeah.
No, continue. I'll actually go there though because I know that there are lawyers behind it. So yeah, yeah,
Yes, yes,
continue. Don't worry.
they know how to play the game. But in the same sense,
Mm,
if we look at it from their point of view, they actually have some form of investment put in the artist that they want to recoup on. Okay, like now, for instance,
mm,
OAL, that is Olisa Agbakova Legal, sometime a couple of months ago, they had this program on sports, fashion, and entertainment. So, someone from
mm,
Maven Records was in the session, and we asked a question generally that why do you guys want to take so much out of the artist? Like the sharing formula can be as much as maybe 70-30 or 80-20. Then the larger side goes to the
mm.
label. So why did they do that? And it was of the opinion that, okay, if you look at it from the label's point of view, they've spent
Yeah.
so much on the artist. Now, let's think of the kind of payments that they did. They've given him a house in Lekki or given her a house in Lekki. Now, that house may have been rented.
Brand new car.
Yeah, a brand new car, maybe a monthly
Mm,
allowance. Yeah,
what?
Yeah,
allowance,
a
hair
wardrobe
allowance.
allowance, exactly, and all that, a travel allowance. Now, that is just the money spent on the artist. Now, let's now look at the
Mm-hmm.
money they're spending engaging on behalf of the artist. So they're spending money on DJs, they're spending money on show
Props,
promoters.
hair play,
Now, now they're now also spending money on marketing. They're marketing, they're trying to
mm,
push their songs out there. So they spend a lot of
getting
money.
brands even accommodate the artist also.
Getting brands to engage, and they are in a money making business as well. So they want to
Mm-hmm.
make money, from it as well. So all this money they've put into the artist, they see it as an investment, and of course they want to make profit. So these are the kind of things that
Yeah.
actually come to their mind. So that's why they go hard on the artist. They push hard on the artist, especially when the artist is not delivering. You know, they're like, "Oh, we spent so much. Why are you not delivering?" And especially when the artist is now trying to cut corners or not deliver on the signed terms and conditions. So that's how they feel. So I think that what we can continue to do is just to continue to engage in the industry. The artists and the labels always need to come together and engage. But that engagement starts at the beginning of the relationship, which most artists have to pay
Mm,
attention to. Yes.
mm, mm. Thank you. So I wanted to talk about the record label in
Yeah.
itself. So yes, I know they want to make profit, but I feel that if lawyers in record labels can go the extra mile to make sure that
Mm.
these artists know exact terms and conditions, that is, if you're giving them the contract, you tell them, can you bring your legal representative?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
If I make sure that the person has it, I'm not providing it for the person, but I'm making the person know that, well, I think I need you to bring a legal representative because there's some clause in this thing that I need you to see. Now, I didn't generally what do you call it, follow like the in case of the Kiss Daniel
Yeah.
case. But if you look at it, it almost looks like, we call it passing off, where you see one particular brand and you think it's another brand. Now you say Kiss Daniel and you say Kiss Daniel. The average, I'm sorry, but so I can
No,
say
it's fine.
this. The average Yoruba person saying Z when you don't say S on a normal,
Keys.
people already start calling you Kiss Daniel, Kiss Daniel. You already calling him that.
Yeah.
I can't remember where I hear someone call him Kiss Daniel.
Yeah.
Like only if they're like on hair personality and all
Yeah.
that they call
Yeah.
Kiss Daniel and this. But the average guy or girl is calling him Kiss Daniel from the start.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I feel like, why is it that and this even happens in churches,
Mm.
my brother. And this even happens in churches where there are terms and conditions for the instrumentalist to come play to do
Yeah.
this, but the moment the person has a gig outside, you almost throw the person off,
Yeah.
and you didn't let the person know that
No, it's an
when you
exclusive
got into this,
relationship.
you're do you understand?
Yeah.
So why is it that people that are at the other side, lawyers at the other side of the wagon, don't let these people know what is going on? I know that their interest is in for the label,
Yeah.
but is it that the label intentionally just wants to, should I use the word dupe or
Uh,
pancake their faces before, and once they get in, they have them for life?
well, the truth is, the onus is on the artist to pay
Yeah.
attention to the terms and conditions. There are some labels that try to be very transparent. They try to let you know what you're signing up to. But I don't believe everyone is that transparent. Some will tell them, go and get a lawyer and have the lawyer read through it. So that's where the artist comes in. And the artist is like, okay, I called the lawyer. And the lawyer is like, my fees, this. And the artist is like, I'll not pay you that. You know what? I'll just sign this thing, Or then some of the artists now put a lot of trust in the managers.
Mm,
Okay, so because the artists might not really, this is a problem for creatives, right? Not a problem per se, but it's one of their characteristics in the sense that they are so focused on the creative side, they don't pay attention to the business side. So they kind of
mm,
place all that in the hands of the manager. They expect the manager to deliver on that. And
mm,
when the manager just says, you know what, I've read through this, it's good to go, they just take the word of the manager and they jump right in. So it's the onus is on the artist. The best thing the lawyer for the label can do is tell them to get a lawyer, have them review this agreement, but it's the artist's decision to either push forward on that or not to at all.
Okay, so what about the terms? Now, now we've addressed that the onus on the
Yeah.
artist. There's some that are transparent, like you said, that would say, "Oh, go get your lawyer
Yeah.
to read over it." But now let's go back to the terms of some of this agreement. There's some that a couple of friends will send to me, but because they know that I'm not practicing in Nigeria, they want to do all this. "Oh, you're my friend, just help me
Just
go
let me
through
go.
this thing and all that." you get that kind of
I
thing,
get
and I'm
that a
like,
lot.
it's not matter of both because in Nigeria we'll be charging each other, but let's just continue to be friends.
Yeah.
And you go through this contract, and you'll be so that I'm amazed by the terms in it. Like this is something that okay. So I read one, and okay, let me just give a vague example. It's like I'm coming to work for you,
Yeah.
but if anything happens to me and it affects your business, so let's say I'm your drummer
Yeah.
now, and if I run late or I don't meet a particular like rehearsal or something happens or an emergency, I don't get quarter from whatever gig we
Yeah.
do, which is not a bad idea. But the moment the general pay comes up, you're getting about almost 90%. Amongst about 50 of us, we are sharing
10%.
10%.
Yes.
Now, for me, that is not legal work. That's just wickedness. Because I feel like some of the lawyers that draft some of these terms and conditions don't think about the next person. They just want to think about, oh, how will we get more money? How will I remain here? But I think that part of the reasons why we're lawyers is not just because you want to just get all the money to yourself and everything. It's also to help the next man. Well, I'm talking based on what I know and what I have learned from people around
Okay.
me. Not everybody thinks like that. But what I'm saying is when you're drafting a contract and it's that I'll use the word that wicked, like the person will not even benefit much. It's like I'm getting out of 50 of us are sharing just 3 million naira.
Yeah.
Now, how much you get to me, and I still have bills to pay,
At
and
the
I
end
still
of the
have
day.
this. And the funny thing is, the moment any of the parties walk out of the contract, they don't get anything from the past agreements. So I see them like, who drafted this? Like, this is wickedness. So my issue is with the lawyer drafting the
Agreement.
record
Yeah.
label or the church or the what they call it. What they call it. No, nobody. Yeah. Nobody's business if you don't. That's very correct. Your legal practitioner's lawyer. I believe LP should stand for legal practitioners.
Yeah.
So my question is, why do we have lawyers at the other side of the table draft out ridiculous contracts? And yes, like he said, nobody's responsible for you not reading your
Yeah.
terms and conditions of your contract. But still, why would you print out a ridiculous contract? Some will go as far as is as bad as I read a particular contract that it was exact word for word of a particular company in the US. They just printed it out, edited the name, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, why? So why does this happen?
Well, first of all, let me go to the lawyer. And who does the lawyer owe the first responsibility to? It's the client.
Is yeah.
So when I meet up with a client and I ask the client, okay, what do you want out of this agreement? And the client tells me, okay, I want this and I want that. My duty is, as a lawyer, is to tell the client if I feel there are any provisions that might be too adverse or might cause a little bit of problem for the client in the future. I can tell the client, okay, you know, this clause is not fair. If I'm on the other side and I see this clause, it will raise a red flag for me. And if I'm on the other side as well, this is how I'll be able to tackle the clause if I see it and if it becomes a problem in the future. So I let them know that. But sometimes they might say, you know what, I don't care, just put it in. And the truth is there's so much you can tell a client. If they don't take your advice, it's really up to them, at the end of the day. So now the lawyer, the first responsibility lies to the client. And there's also the
Mm,
responsibility to the larger society at large too. But like I said, the onus is also on the client to take your advice on it. And
mm-hmm,
sometimes clients can be adamant, they can be stubborn. They might not want to
mm,
listen to you. They might believe that they can have their way in all these things, and that's where the problem can
mm,
come in at the end of the day. So I would not really blame the lawyers. They're just doing their jobs, basically, and they're earning their client fees, basically. So it's not really their problem, or it's not really their fault, or it's not really their trouble at the end of the day. Their own is just okay, that's
but
what you want.
we're supposed to be fair. What happens to that fair part of us?
Yes, we are supposed to be fair, but one, you have to understand that this is business. This is business. This is not about fairness. This is about profit, and it's about investment, and it's about making money. So people put fairness out the door for a second. Not that I'm saying it is right, not that I'm saying that is what should happen, but I'm just saying that is what some
Okay,
people do.
okay,
Right. So they don't really want to look at the other side, because sometimes the lawyer can even put fair terms in the agreement, but the client will now go back and change them and say, no, this is what I want to be in the agreement. And like I said, there's just so much the lawyer can say. The lawyer cannot compel
true,
the client to take their advice
true,
or to follow what they have written. At the end of the day, all you can do is advise them as
true.
best as you can, really. So yeah.
Mm.
So I won't blame the lawyers, but lawyers could do better. I agree, but it's not their
Mm.
fault, really.
I believe they can though. Like, but like I get what you're
Yeah,
saying. There's some people that's just adamant and saying no,
yeah,
we're not gonna do this,
yes,
and that's there. And you want to. I think someone said your legal office said on a lighter note they want their colleagues to also be employed. Well, that's the truth. So if you have a good deal for your friend in a particular company and they're doing something well, even if the profit is whatever for
yeah.
them, as long as you're getting paid.
So
So
yeah,
I think that's what happens. Sometimes, like someone that has been, sometimes as a lawyer, also they also want their big break into some
mm,
big companies, and once they get it,
exactly.
fair goes out of the door.
What's
People
fairness?
remember fair and what's not fair.
Yeah.
So you were talking about something about trademark, and this is one thing that I think I actually also spoke to you about it like a couple of months ago when I was talking about trademarking and all that. And I noticed that most people don't think about that first. They want to make the name low, and when they now, okay, someone was saying that he wished that had trademarked his name in the US. Now
Mm,
that the weekend is using Starboy and it's now
yeah,
like a big
yeah.
thing. They've been using Starboy since I was in secondary school. Do you get? But so how important is trademarking across the globe? Is there a worldwide one? So that whatever part of the world you go to, your name is trademark, or you have to do it individually in these different countries. Like I don't know. I want to talk about it. Or they have to go to individual countries to go and do it. Or, yeah. So that's
Yes, as it stands now, you have to go to these
okay.
individual countries to do it. There is no one trademark that covers worldwide. No, you have to go and do it in all individual countries. That's how it is now at this time.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And so let's go back to what you said. So when we look at people that work with record labels, who would you say you would prefer to do the trademark? Would it be the artist to trademark the name so that he knows that this name belongs to me? Or would it be the record label that wants to give this artist a platform?
That's a really tough one because, like I said, as a lawyer, it depends on who I am working for at the certain time. If I am working for the client, sorry, if I'm working for the creative, that is the artist, I'll tell the artist, you know what, make sure you are the one that owns the name. So that because anything can
Mm-hmm.
happen between you and the label tomorrow, and
But your
but
brand,
your brand stays the same, So I'll advise the creative to hold on to that name, and because when you enter an agreement with a label, it's all about negotiation, really. you know, and it
Mm,
depends on how bad they want you. They might be willing to let go of some things, you know. Now, some of these
mm,
creatives as well, they might not have been told that is the label that is having the name. You know, for instance, now,
mm, mm.
let's say there's an artist called That Boy. You know, that's DAT, that boy. You know, and he gets a label, and the label tells him, "Oh, you know what? This is your name. We're going to protect it for you." You know, but when they now apply for the
Mm.
protection, you know,
They put under their
they
name.
apply in the name of the label. You know, so automatically
Mm,
it's the label that owns the name. When you're trying to interpret such a document, you know, the
yeah.
name of the label is going to be put there as the owners of the name. So, what the artist should do in such a situation is, if you can do it yourself, do it yourself. But if they're going to do it for you, ensure that they put your name as the person that
As the
own
owner.
as the owner. Yes, exactly. So that's how that can work. But excuse me. On the other hand, if I was working for the label now as a lawyer, you know, I'll tell the label, okay, you're putting all this investment into the artist. You're trying to secure the trademark. I think you should just secure it in your name. You know, so
Even the artist goes, the crowd gets you sort of with you to a large extent.
yeah, so like I said, it just depends on who I am advising at each point, because I cannot advise both of them at the same time. You know, I have to, yeah, so that depends on, that's what determines who I tell what. If I'm advising the artist, I'll tell them, look, keep the name, make sure it's yours. If I'm advising the label, I'll say, if you can keep the name, fine, good for you. But the thing,
That's too much in
but the
this
thing
space.
with that is, it really depends. For instance, now, let's assume the label kept the name Whiskey. Let's use Whiskey for example.
Yeah,
Let's assume
yeah,
it was the label because it was with EME at a certain time.
yes,
Let's assume
yes.
EME had the trademarks to the name Whiskey and they didn't want to let it go. Will it be easy for them to just say they're going to bring someone else and slap the name on the person? No,
It's not possible.
it's not possible at the end of the day. So, such a label might hold on to that name for a sinister motive. You know, like,
Mm,
okay, you know what, let me hold on to this name. So if this guy goes, you know, we can have some bargaining power to bring him back on board, you know, or we can have some bargaining power with which to negotiate with him on anything that might crop up at that certain time. So yes, but I believe that generally the artist should keep the name because they are the ones that get to live with the brand most of their
yeah.
lifetime, you know, not the label really.
So, so I wanted to ask something. I know that LP said something, but I wanted to ask that. What about where I come in as, oh, my name is Anu, and I don't have like a stage name. I don't have anything. I'm just coming to the label for the first time. Like, we'll probably see a video and they're like, oh, we want to have you on our label.
Yeah,
Okay, no problem. And they give me the
stage
stage
name.
name. So what happens to that kind of artist?
Well, in that kind of situation, you see, there is nothing is really set in stone. It really depends
Mm,
on the agreement that you have with the label. So they can say, okay, you know, while we're brainstorming and trying to think of a catchy name for you, oh, we think of maybe AN to the D or something. You know, they just come up with a name. No, that's just a name. Don't just
no, don't mind me.
don't squeeze your face like that. Okay, so yeah, so they can say, okay, we come up with this name, and they give you that name, and you run with it, and they run with the name as well. Now, in such a situation, more likely than not, the label will want to have ownership of that name. You know, so that's where,
Okay.
yeah, that's where that comes in as well. So, but
Okay.
like I said, it's all about negotiation. I will tell the artist, even though if they're the ones that gave you the name, because it's like a joint effort or something started in creating such a name, and it may not even have been at the end of the day, but such label will naturally
Okay.
want to hold on to that name or want to protect it under their own company name, as the case may be.
Okay. Okay. So your LP lawyer says, I think for the name it should be one of the negotiable terms of the contract.
Yes.
Yes. So that if one person can take it to themselves or the other person can take it to
Yeah.
themselves. All right. So there was this case that happened yesterday. So this is a creative in the fashion world.
Okay.
She did this. She did her designs in, I think it's in Canada, and this Brazilian person, the fashion designer, used the exact costume and everything in their fashion show in Brazil, taking all the credits.
Yeah.
So where it's like intra-country, where it's two countries and all that, what happens to that kind of person when you're suing this other party?
Yes. Now, when we are now talking about the fashion industry in itself, you really cannot protect this. Like now, I'm wearing a shirt, right? And my shirt has a white collar, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if another designer makes another shirt with a white collar, I really can't claim it is mine. It is my idea because generally ideas are not protected under law, right? But in the fashion industry, what you can protect is the design. So let's say I create a new style of having colors. Like I'm sure it is someone that started with this what we call bishop necks, that don't have this part of the collar. They just have the
Yeah.
lower part of the collar. There's some people that started that. But if they did not protect the design from the beginning, because as the fashion label, what you can protect is the design. If they don't protect that, then they are not offered any form of international protection. You cannot really sue such a person except you protect it. So it is when it is protected and is registered as a design that you can sue such a person. If not, then you can't. For instance, let's look at Louboutins and let's look at the Red Souls. Right? They
Yeah.
they started it and they patented that design. So anybody else that goes on to create a shoe with such a design, they can go after the person because it is protected. But you cannot just create something and not protect it and think you can go against someone else that uses it without that
So
protection.
so if it was protected in, okay, so if the person protected it like in Canada, and the design is now the exact replica. Do you
Yeah.
understand? Like, let me show you an example. So this is the Nigerian ladies on.
Okay. Oh, I saw this
This is
photo
the Brazil.
somewhere today on Instagram. I can't remember, but it
Yeah.
looks familiar.
So it's like a swimsuit kind of line where she used this African print kind of thing to do
Yeah.
different designs. Now, so if she had protected hers, like, well, you get this design on us, they've done. I think they're done. She had done her own runway. I think
Yeah.
they're selling it out.
Yeah.
Let's imagine they're selling it out, and this person now just a couple of days ago put on their fashion line. How is this other person protected if she had trademarked?
Yes. If the Now, this is not a trademark. This is a patent. Patent and design. Yeah, designs
Okay.
come under patents. That's why they call it sometimes patents and design. It's not a trademark. A trademark has to do with the name or a logo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if the person had protected such an outfit or such a design, then the person will have all the rights to go after the person who has copied that design without showing proper reference or without giving proper credit to the original creator. Yeah, so the person can go after that person. We've always had issues of the iPhone and Samsung going after each other. This one said I created the design. This one says no, we created it. And things. So yeah, it's like that. I don't know if you're familiar with cars. Even cars have a design, like the Mercedes now.
Yeah.
They have a design and it's unique to them, and they've protected it. So anywhere they go, nobody can create that design and put Mercedes on it. For instance, there was this issue about I'm not sure if it was the Ferrari or the Porsche, but this person bought either a Ferrari or a Porsche. I can't remember which particular car. It was, but the person bought
Mm.
it. And of course, we know that these cars are more of like sporty looking cars, right?
Yeah.
And they don't come in limousines. They just come in that
No.
small shot. So yeah, this person actually bought one, cut it up in the middle, right? And now made it into a limousine. Right. It was just being creative, something. The person was just trying to be creative, and the person now tagged it, okay, this is the first limousine Porsche or the first limousine Ferrari that there is in the world. And the parent company contacted the person that created it and said, look, you can no longer call that car a Ferrari, or you can no longer call that. I'm not sure which one it was. That's why I'm trying to use the two of
Okay.
them interchangeably. You cannot call it a Ferrari, or you cannot call it a Porsche, because you have
Okay.
altered its look, so it is no longer a Porsche. Now you have used our engines, you have used all that, fine, but you have to remove the logo in front of it. And maybe put your
Mm.
own there. Whatever name you want to call it, it's fine. You can put your own there, but don't call it ours, because we did not make that. So that is the kind of
That.
protection that someone can have against their protected design. So if someone steals your designs and it's
Mm.
protected, you can always go against that person. You can go against that person in court. You can get damages.
People, yes. So it's a 1 hour kind of mark for Instagram. I don't know why they should just increase it. So I'm going to be having my guests all over. No, 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 no. Yeah. So Instagram has just 1 hour mark. So for most times when we have our shows, we're always on Facebook for like longer hours. Like Facebook can allow you to do a 4 or 5 hour kind of thing, but Instagram is just 1 hour. I don't know if it's my phone or whatnot. Yeah. So let me have our day. Hello, welcome back, people. NEPA did not take a light. So Instagram has. I can't hear you. I don't know why. Why can't I hear you? Why can't I hear you? Okay, so I think and remove him and bring him back on the live. So yes, that's the thing about Instagram. So I hope they get back and yes, Adedunmade Onibokun found LegalNaija. Okay, so let's do this. Let's hope it works right now. Hello, people. Yeah, so for those just joining me, this is Dr. Aanu Adedire. And can you hear me now? I can't hear you. Oh my God, why I can't hear you? No, I can't. That's sad. Okay, I heard you when you first started off, and then I didn't hear you again. Going on? Is it the American network? Okay, let's try again and again. Welcome, welcome, people. IGCNG, Doctor. Um,
I can hear you now.
Yippee!
Yes,
It
yes,
was
great.
my network was a good one, so if I didn't have
Okay, great. Yes,
yeah,
I
so we
hear
were
you back
talking
in.
about um people patenting their design. and something.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So, like I was saying earlier, you can protect your design under patents, and you can
Okay.
go after people who copy that design. You can go after them in court. You can get an injunction against them. You can
Yeah.
even sue for damages as well.
hmm If the
Yeah,
person has sold like a lot from it.
like the law. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So I wanted to ask this, and I know that this is one very bad thing that Nigeria kind of doesn't have yet. So it is what they call, I know we have it, but in the entertainment world, is like this is how it is, and that is intellectual property. So different heads come in, and I don't know if you saw one of my Insta story recently. I said, "Dear singer slash minister, it's not a sin not to write your own songs,
Mm,
but the moment you write it and take credit for it, then it's a
mm.
sin." We have a lot
Okay.
of cases out there where this person wrote this song and that person writing it, this person did this bit and that person using it, this person, like a lot of them like that. So,
Mm.
would you say that we have a good system that protects intellectual property in Nigeria, or we're still growing as a baby? What would you say?
Well, I will not in a just to use a nutshell. I'll say we're still growing as a baby.
Okay,
Yeah, I would say we're still growing. We've not perfected it yet, but
okay.
there's still so much work that we need to do. There's still so much that needs to be done, and until we are able to get to that platform, that stage, then yes, because we still have the issues. There are some people who are trying to move up the game, who are trying to, like I said earlier, trying to be transparent and try to let everybody know how much they're earning at the end of the day. But in Nigeria, we're still growing. Not everybody does that.
So how do I protect? I'm writing a song for, let's say, I'm in a studio and something comes to my head and I'm like singing and I'm like, oh, let me go there. And the next thing I see that the person in the studio has given someone to sing that song. So
I
can you
didn't
hear me
really,
now?
yes,
Okay.
but I didn't hear
So
you briefly.
yeah, I'll say it again. So probably I'm in a
Hmm.
studio or I'm in, let's even use the art world. So I'm drawing something, I'm almost done, I'm painting it, and they exactly now. So I've not gone to patent the design or probably the name I used, I did not trademark it. So how am I covered in that scenario where probably, or I have a hook chorus that I've been singing, I get to the studio, I do just the hook chorus, I say, okay, I'm coming tomorrow to finish this thing, and the next thing I hear it on radio that one big artist has done both the chorus and the this. How am I
And the
protected? Because
verse.
I didn't do anything to it.
Well, in such a scenario, right, if you can show proof that you were actually the person that created that piece of music or that work of art, then you might as well be able to get something out of it in the long run. For instance, I don't know if you're familiar with the techno and the this guys that sang this song. I think it's Kologo.
Or the
There was
downfall
this
drivers. The downfall drivers
Danfo
thing that happened
drivers,
recently.
yes, 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 the Danfo drivers thing. So when Techno came out with his own version of it, they came out and said, "Look, we sang this song like years ago, really, and we are the one, and he should have given us credit." And I really like the way Techno handled it because he did
That
not
it wasn't
allow it
into,
escalate and become
yeah.
into a war of words or something. They were really able to talk it out, and I think now they even have another song
They
that
have a
they work together
collaboration
on.
on that. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So now, so great. So if you can actually show that you are the one that actually created that piece of music or that work of art, then yes, you will have a good chance in them getting something out of it at the end of the day.
So how do you do that? That's the question.
How do you do that? First of all,
Because
yeah. First of all,
because
is okay.
sorry.
No,
Because
go
most
on. It's
times
fine.
people just say these things or they just sing this thing or now you can have like Probably your evidence can be your recording timeline. What I kind of do most times is I don't like singing. I already have it. So there's some songs that I've recorded since 2016. So if you come out tomorrow morning and listen to the song, I'll show you that I've voice recorded this thing in 2016. That can be my own. That can be a way I can save my own stuff. Do you understand? But for people that can't do that, are just writing a piece of paper, no date, no nothing, or you just put a drawing down and someone else puts it to sell it. How am I protected?
Yes, I want to differentiate something here now. I said
Okay.
earlier that ideas are not protected.
Yeah.
For instance, now, if you write a song or you have a chorus and you keep it with you in your in a protected place, right? And someone else somewhere far, even near, but somewhere independently creates that same thing without actually taking what you have created, but they had their own independent thought and they created it out of their own independent, creativity. Then you cannot go against them and say, okay, you stole my song, because they'll be like, oh, okay, I'll give you an example. I remember when I was younger, I used to have this book of ideas, right? It was like a diary, an old diary, and on each page, I'll write an idea and I'll develop it in that page, and the next page I write an idea and I develop it. So and it was going like so. I had an idea back in the day that I had written in that book, right? And
Okay.
one day I was going through the papers, and I just flipped the page and saw my idea. Now it was the same even to the name. Like everything was the same. The name was the same, the execution was the same, everything was basically the same. All I could think of at that point was, wow, someone beat me to it. I could not say the person stole my idea because I knew that my idea was written somewhere in my diary and it was locked somewhere in my room. But this person had already put it in the papers. That means the person had already gone forward with the idea. So in such a situation, I could not say the person stole my idea because obviously the person thought of it independently.
So that's like
And
when sorry. So that's like when I was talking to someone over the weekend. I was out of town
yeah,
for a project, and the person was saying another part. I pity you. You better start executing these songs unless God will
exactly,
use someone else and the person will execute it. So
exactly,
what you just said just confirmed what was in my head right now, that there are times where you sit down on something for so long and God is the creator of designs and ideas, right? So since he has given you the idea or gift and you don't use it, he's giving someone else and the person will
and the
execute it.
person has used it. Yeah.
But when he is that this one is I am in that particular scene and
Yes,
someone else
and
uses it.
once you can prove that the person stole your idea, that is, if
Mm,
you can show that, okay, I had this idea, the person had access to it, and the
mm,
person took it or may have taken it. As long as you
mm,
can show that I created it and the person had access, then the
mm,
probability is on your side to be able to show
mm.
that, okay, that person stole my idea. So yeah, so it depends on the particular circumstances of each case. That is what's going to determine how it's going to be handled or how it's going to be presented at the end of the day.
Amazing. So I told you 1 hour 30 minutes, and I want to stick to that time.
No
Um,
problem, it's
how
fine.
important is it for people to be educated when it comes to this, like the entertainment world? And when I say the entertainment world, I mean music, arts, and media. How important is education? And I'm so happy that now legal firms are now coming out doing different symposiums, doing different
Mm,
programs, doing
mm,
conferences to
mm.
create awareness for
Yeah.
people to know better in their field. So how are the other means that we can help creatives? And how is it that getting their property or their ideas or their designs or whatnot secure, there any body that helps reduce the cost in which you want to either patent or trademark or register or do this? Is there anything currently, and I'm saying from the perspective of Nigeria, here you go online, you do whatever you want to do. You can register a company in, let's say, should I use the word 12 days? I know we did one recently and we finished everything, we got everything working, everybody got involved and everything. So
Mm.
how can we I know that now CSC is now online. Like I was even trying to check
Yeah.
and I'm still hoping that I can do everything I need to do. But how can we get things to help people to, because people will tell you, registering of company is very expensive, or I can't do this, I can't do that. So how do we get a cost-effective um aid that will help people to get their ideas or names or companies like registered or patent or trademarked?
Yeah. So one is to just go out there and look for the information because the information is out there. For
Mm,
instance, there was a time when our blog was like the only law blog ever in Nigeria. But
mm,
now, if you go online, there's so many. Even if even firms now, law firms, are now making use of the social media space, and they're letting
yes.
people know what they can do for them, So all you have to do is just go out there to find that information. You can find it
Mm,
on your social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can even find it on Google, So all you need to do
mm,
is just go out there and search. But there is no actually one place like just this one place where you can go and find out everything. It's just different pockets of information everywhere,
mm,
right? So you just really have to go out and look through and sift through and pick one
mm,
that you feel favors you at the end of the day. For instance, talk about company registration. Now,
mm,
the fees for that, the term is based on the lawyer that you meet
mm,
and your relationship with that lawyer. Some might be willing to do it for you for a far lesser sum, while some might be able to do it for you while some will do it for you for a more increased sum. So
mm,
it all depends on who you meet. And like I say, sometimes it's just like going to a store. Let's assume you walk into a mall somewhere and you go into the first store and you find an outfit that you like, or you find a bag that you like, or you find a shoe that you like, or you find a car that you like, or you just find something that you like. I've learned, especially when I work into stores or into a big mall, that I don't really have to pick what I like from the first shop that I see. I might say, okay, I've seen this. I might find out how much it is there, and I'll tell the person, okay, you know what, let me look around first. Because I realized that sometimes you might find the same item in another store for a lesser price. Now, sometimes it might not be the same item, it might be a similar item, and you find it for a lesser price. So at the end of the day, it's all about just taking your time to look through the information, to go out and really get that information. And of course, you always find something you can work with. Now, that being said, there are also organizations that are willing to support small scale enterprises and startups. So because of that, they will really give you what I would call a discounted fee in order to support your startup or in order to support um, your craft or your creativity, whichever the case may be. Like now, for instance, my law firm is a member of an organization called NASME,
okay.
which is but this is for small and medium scale enterprises, so it's the
Okay.
National Association of Small and Medium Scale Enterprises, and we serve as legal advisors to them and also to a number of their members. So whenever we get a call from them, they even give us referrals to the members, and the person just tells us, look, I'm from NASME, and we automatically know that because they're from NASME, they get a
Okay.
discounted fee. Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, and there are also pockets of organizations like that that you can join, that also
I know
offer.
I know the Catholic, the Justice, I've forgotten the Catholic ones. They also do things like that also for people. I think most of
Right.
the time they do it towards like criminals, like criminal cases,
Yeah,
and
I think what you're trying to say is pro bono,
not even pro bono.
not
There's,
not pro bono.
I know they have the pro bono side of the JCPC or so.
Okay,
But I know that when I
okay,
was in
that's
Nigeria, they
fine.
had the Catholic body had this thing that helped people that were like in prisons and all that, help give them like lawyers that were not like super expensive, or
Yeah,
some for pro bono cases also.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think it's also really good. Before I go, I wanted to say something, and I wanted to ask you, how do you think that um technology can impact and can help salvage criminal rates in Nigeria and help curb a lot of things in Nigeria. Let me give you an example. So if FRSA pulls you over and you don't have your like current documents and they tell you, oh, we have to take your driver's license and this and that. When I was in Nigeria, this is what happened 90% of the time. People go to another FRSA office in a different state or whatnot. Probably they're going to like Ibadan. And they
Yeah.
go there and say, I misplaced my license. And they get a new one.
Yeah.
So you know that there's no one data that fits all, that once they put in, oh, this the Sade Benson,
Yes. Yes.
so
Yes.
that,
Yes.
oh no, your name is in our Lagos branch and they said they seized it because you did this, you have to pay this fine.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how do we salvage that situation with technology? How can Nigeria come to that point where we have data for everything that happens? Is it possible? I'm not saying now, but is it possible? Can we get to that point where,
It
like,
is.
they put your name into the system and your entire life comes out in this stretch?
Yes. It is not just possible, but it is already happening.
Okay.
Yes. For instance, now, the FRC, that is the FRIC, that's the Federal Road Safety Commission.
Okay.
They have a sort of unified platform now. Even the
Okay.
vehicle inspection officers, they have a unified platform. The reason why I know this is sometimes I was driving in Lagos and I was stopped by, I think, VIO or the
Okay.
FRCA, and they asked me for my license. Now, at that time, I had been given a temporary one because how it works is you go, you register, they give you a temporary one, then they send you a text when the permanent hard plastic card is ready. So you just go there and pick it up. So I've been given a temporary one, and that temporary one is made to expire in just about 3 months. Right, but sometimes the permanent one is not ready within that space of 3 months. So I told them, okay, look, I have the temporary one.
Temporary.
Yes, and I don't have the permanent one yet because it's not ready. And the guy just told me, "Don't worry," and he just went to it. He had like a tab, and he just punched in my details, and he found the records there, and he even told me when
Permanent.
the one was going to expire. That means he had access to the details there. So it's already happening, and they can only get better because they're trying to inculcate all this, especially since we've had the BVN. They're trying to tie this into so many things. Now we have pockets of information, but the government is taking a very strategic move or a very strategic effort in pulling all this information together. But it is not
So
as good. Sorry, you can go on.
no, continue. I'll remember what I wanted to say.
Okay, I was going to say that it's not as good as we have it in all the developed parts of the world, where they can literally pull out everything that concerns you from one access point of the database. But it's getting there, and we've started it in Nigeria, and I'm sure it's going to get better as time goes on.
So is it just Lagos? Because I know that Lagos is like the tech world of Nigeria, right?
Well, it is
Once
not just
every develop.
Lagos.
Okay.
Well, I agree that a lot of development starts out in Lagos and it grows from there. But
Mm.
some of these things are available in other parts of Nigeria as well, not just in Lagos.
Okay. So
Yes.
so I'll believe that if I go to Ibadan tomorrow morning and Paris pulls me over, then they will also have the same
Yes, it
data.
is possible. I'm not guaranteeing it, but it is possible.
Okay, okay. Let's keep our fingers crossed. So, what are the future plans of Lego Naija? What are the things that you have in plan, in store?
Wow. This is uh, the plan for Legal Nigeria is so big. It's so big, really, and I think we have just scratched the surface on how big we intend to go or what we intend to do, because
Okay,
in our what I'll call our change plan, that is in a society and development change plan, it was in steps. So the first one was to educate people, but
okay,
now we have gotten to the point where people have the information, right? but they don't know how to actually execute it. They don't know how to use it. They just have the information about, okay, what the law is, but they don't know how to implement it. They don't know how to protect their rights. So Legal Nigeria is going to the point where we are actually going to start advocating. We have already begun to offer pro bono services.
Okay.
Yes, for we have a partnership with an organization called PRAI, which is Prisoners' Rights Advocacy Initiative, where we
Okay.
actually take on cases for them, and when we offer pro bono services. So yes, we are going to do that as well, and we are actually moving to a part where we can actually make, well, I will say we're trying to support the justice administration system, where we're trying to make justice administration easier for people, where we're trying to make laws easier for people, where we're trying to make getting access to legal services easier for people. So we're working on all that now, and there's so much that we still intend to do. So we don't intend to fizzle out. We intend to, in fact, I hope to be able to hands off Legal Niger very soon and just let it run continuously, because there's so much that it has to offer, and we are
Okay.
here for the long haul, basically.
Okay. Okay. So there's a question here. What is your take on one artist per one record?
One artist per one record label. Is
So
that
that,
what you said?
yeah.
I don't understand the context in which that
Would
question
it
is
be
in.
that one record label should just have one artist that they face?
Yes, that's why I said I don't understand the context that the person is asking that question in. In such, if I'm looking at it from the side of the record label, of course not. Why we want to have just one artist? You know, we want to go big. We want to do everything. We want to have like a whole line of artists. We want to be able to have a concert with only our artists. You know, so I don't think I would support that. Yeah.
Okay, so what about, okay, so I used to have this thing and later it was confirmed by him. So I want to see the different angle of that question too, where a record label has like five artists. Okay. Why are artists having their own record label? Okay, we'll come to that question. So I want to see from the angle of um when you have five artists, but a record label just faces one person.
Yes.
How do the other four people try to, should we say, fight their cause by saying we're here too? Don't you know we're
Well,
here too?
like I would, how I'll address that issue is to say that the labels are in it for profit, right? So
Mm-hmm.
whenever they find an artist who is delivering on the music, who is delivering on the craft, who is delivering on the style, who is delivering on the brand, you know, and that person is fetching them income, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is only natural for them to focus a lot of effort on that artist or on that creative and try to get as much as they can from that person. Now, what I will
Okay.
urge the other people to do in such a situation is to actually step up, really, is to actually step up and show that they can deliver as well. Now, some of these artists, you know, sometimes it takes a lot to groom an artist. You're not just grooming the brand, but you have to take care of them personally too. They have the voice trainings, they have the brand trainings, they have the persona that they have to bring out, you know. So it takes a lot to do that for an artist. So some of these artists are still in incubation. That's what I like to call it. And they're still trying to grow into what they've become. But artists as well who find themselves in such a position may have to step up to show that, look, I am here, I can deliver. And they just need to show what they've got, really.
Okay. Okay. So we had so many questions. Let me start from the first one. Why are we having artists having their own record label? I think it's
Because
a bit.
of the money, because you know they realize that the labels are the ones taking most of the profit, and they want
Yeah.
to be able to handle their own profit themselves. So yes, this is why a couple of them are having their own labels and trying to
Okay. And
also
just like,
sign up artists as well.
yeah, just like I think Wizkid has about about three of them now, three to four of them. or something. Okay, how do artists, this is a very funny one. How do artists protect their works from being stolen by movies? Let me add to it. Movies, adverts, jingles, everything you can think of that here on African Magic or radio or whatnot. So how can you protect your work?
Now, there's an organization called COSON, and this is
Okay.
part of what they do. So they ensure that artists get paid their royalties, right?
Okay.
So yeah, so you can belong to them, and they fight for you to get your royalties. And aside from that, you yourself could also have a team. Like the label could have a team whose duty is just to ensure that these things are actually paid for. So when they hear your song somewhere, especially when it's used for profit, they can your team can always engage the persons that have used it and say, okay, look, you have to pay royalty to the person who created this work or who created this art, because you cannot just take it for free. Now, it's different when the person is using it for free. For instance, now we have people that do Instagram videos, right? And they put a song to their video. Now that is not really to make profit. That is just for fun or as the case may be. You
It depends
you
on their
know,
Instagram growth. Do you know that, Ade?
Yes, yes, yes. That is why I said um, it may. It may be that,
Okay.
okay, for instance, now, if I make a video of me sitting down, I put a song behind it. Some people are fine with just writing the name of the artist at the end of the day. Look at these comedians now. These comedians that have skits that they do, and they have a
Mm.
song in the background. You realize that at the end of it, they always put the name of the artist and the title of the song, to show that, okay, this is the person. But if it's not something like that, if it's not a brand, if it's a brand that is using it to promote their work or their business or their material or their product or their services, then you might
Mm.
now be able to go against them. But if not, then it's just cool, really.
But realistically, how can I don't think you can catch up with every one of them.
Yes, that's why organizations like COSON come into play, because it's their duty to actually do this on your behalf. And you as well, you should have your team who is out there, who is trying to scout, find out who's using your music for. So, and some you just stumble on, someone just sees it and sends it to you, and be like, oh, I saw your song somewhere, or I heard it this
Or I see your
somewhere,
picture on a
or
billboard and it didn't tell you.
yeah, funny enough, I have a client who sent me a message who said that they have been using his wife's very reputable bank actually in Nigeria has been using his wife's picture on their brands, and they've not offered any form of compensation. So even we are
Wow,
preparing to go after that bank on behalf of our client for that as well. So yeah, you can
please
always
give
do
us.
that.
We just need 1% of the share of this of that fine case.
Let us collect our own percent first, then we'll discuss that.
Okay, so Legally Flawed said, how do you reconcile the amount of profit brought by an artist with equal pay for all genders?
How do you reconcile the amount brought by an artist?
I don't know why I can't see you.
You can't see me? I can see you.
No, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Oh, I don't know if I need to touch up something on my screen. I don't know why, but
Let me
I can
let me take
see
it
you
off and
really.
bring it back.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
Okay, so yeah. Uh, okay, so I'll bring back Legal Ninja, and we're going to continue. Um, we're going to continue with the questions. Hi, people. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, so Legally Flawed, we should get 1%. He can get the remaining 9%. I don't think I'll help him keep the one.
See me now?
Yes.
Okay, I can see you as well, and I can hear you clearly too.
Okay. So question was, how do you reconcile the amount of profit brought by an artist with equal pay for all genders? So like there's a gender discrimination in payment.
Well, I well, this is kind of a tough one, really, because if we're talking about the labels and how much I don't think they pay based on gender. I'm just saying, I believe that they pay based on your negotiation with them or what you're bringing to the table, really,
Okay.
because I know that someone like Yemi Alade now or Simi now, they might be earning a lot more than some male artists in the industry as well,
Otiwa.
just because of what they're bringing to the table. So I don't think it's really a battle of the sexes thing. I think it's just what you're offering and based on your negotiation with your label, really.
Okay. Someone says, does Legal Nigeria have any training program for lawyers in a bid to protect the rights of Nigerian citizens?
Well, yes, we have trainings. For instance, in April 25th and 26th, that's the
Okay.
last April, we had trainings in Lagos for lawyers.
Okay.
Yes, and we train them on courses such as entertainment law, mediation, sports law. I can see Maxi B has joined the chat. Shout out to Maxi B. She's the one that handled our sports law model. Akiemi Law is also on Instagram, handled our entertainment law model. And the mediation lawyerist as well was
Okay.
also there. Then we had trainings on forensic accounting. We had training on forensic document examination as well, for lawyers. So yes, so we do trainings regularly, and our next training is going to be in Abuja sometime in September.
Okay. So I'll
September
just say
30th.
that people just go follow at Legal Nigeria and you can get all
Yes,
the
and
details.
yes, and they can get up to date on our
And you can
trainings. Yes,
send an email to them if you're like interested in anything. I think there's an email section down below, just immediately after their bio, so you can just always send an
yes,
email
yes.
down
Thank you
there.
very much for that.
Before I set you run away, what's the hope of ADR in Nigeria? I know it's working well in Lagos. Like I always say, Lagos is like the champion of everything. But how effective would ADR work across? I'm a big advocate of ADR. Like I love ADR. I took courses in ADR. I don't think I finished my registration for my membership. I've been using mouth to finish the registration. But I've done my exams and I was just supposed to
Yeah.
like finish all the paperwork, but I had to travel, so I couldn't go to the office. Um, what's the up cutting across other parts of Nigeria to having uh ADR being effective in different fields of law?
Yes. The funny thing is, you'll be surprised, but ADR is really big in Nigeria. For instance, now, um, commercial agreements have a standard ADR clause.
Yes.
So yes, it's really big, and you'll be surprised as well that there's always been some ADR has always been in play in Nigeria, really, because even as far back as traditional Nigeria, where you have back in the interlands, you have the scenarios where people go to meet the king, and the king
Yes.
mediates
Yes.
on issues that might come up between the citizens. So ADR has always been in play in Nigeria, and is now gaining grounds in a more formalized version. Now, the
Mm,
thing with ADR is what we are trying to do generally is we're trying to make Nigeria a seat for arbitration. So we
okay.
want people in other African countries and even other European countries to be able to say, okay, we are going to settle our disputes via arbitration or mediation, and we are going to use a seat in Lagos or a seat in Abuja, because there are so many organizations. There's the LCI, there
Yeah.
is the mediation and arbitration. There's the mediation court
Yes.
that is attached to the high courts, in Lagos and in Abuja. So yes,
Yeah.
ADR is really becoming more formalized now, and it's really growing. So I won't say
Well,
what is what is the what is what is in I would say that ADR can grow really, and it can
okay.
continue to grow as big as it can. But what we are trying to do in Nigeria as practitioners is to attract the world to Nigeria as an arbitration seat or as a mediation seat for disputes, even internationally as well.
Amazing. Um, I think I still have questions in my head, but I don't want to run over my time. I would say a big thank you to you. I
Thank
know
you
we've
so
been
much. Thank you so much as
enjoying the
well.
thread for this
For
for
this
this
for
a
so
very long
long.
time. But
That's
yes, I'm
true.
super happy that it actually came up today, and
Yes.
I hope that people gained a lot and hope people learned a lot.
I have
And
so
I
too.
hope that you can just go. Do you have a Facebook page or whatnot? Like if people can reach you.
Yes, we are on all social media platforms. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and of course, they can also check out the blog at www.legalnaija.com. Yes.
Okay, people. So you heard. Okay. So so I'll say a big thank you to you. God bless you. And I pray that greater heights for Legal Nigeria and every other thing
Thank
that you
you.
do in Jesus' name.
Amen.
So
Thank
yeah.
you. And if I can say something as well, I'd like to say thank you for having me. I'd like to say thank you for having the Legal Niger blog come out and say something on your show. And I've listened to your music too as well. So I'm looking forward to the album. Okay.
Amen. 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 Hallelujah. I'm getting too much drama for this album thing, and I'm hoping that we'll finish work.
Yeah, but
We're doing too many things, but we're trying to
at the same time,
compartmentalize
yes.
everything. But yeah,
Yes, but don't starve us of your music for so long. Okay,
we
let's
won't.
hear more of you.
We won't collapse the
Thank you
one
so
year
much.
mark before we do something else. No, we won't.
All
We
right,
won't.
that would be great. That would be
All
great.
right.
Thank you so
Thank you
much for
very
having me.
much.
Take care of
All right.
you and have a lovely day as well. Bye bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, people. Thank you very much for today. I've had an amazing time, and I hope you did. And God bless you. And follow us at Aanu Adedire on Facebook, on Instagram, and follow at Life Matters with Aanu Adedire. The exclusive chat page will be running very soon. We're going to put everything back up online. And yes, next month, we're going to have another episode of exclusive chat from me, myself, and now. Thank you. God bless you. And I'll see you next month. Bye.